Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
There's a lot wrong out there. Something really wrong in people's heads, I think. Not everybody, but there's a growing virus spreading. It seems to be coming straight from the White House. Donald Trump celebrating the death of Robert Mueller, posting about it on social media. It's so brutal that even some of the most loyal Trump supporters are feeling alienated and disgusted because of what the president has done tonight. What a week. We'll dig into that a little bit more. I will bring you a slightly different perspective than I had last night on the Pierre Poilievre appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. And we'll bring you the latest on Trump's war in Iran. Oh, plus what's going on in Ukraine. So stay with me. There's lots to unpack tonight. I shall return.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So, President Trump did it again. Here, I'll show you. Let's go first to Truth Social. Robert Mueller, former FBI director, has passed away. And Donald Trump has somehow found a way to make it all about him, while also offending, well, just about everyone. Not everyone, just about. Here's his post on Truth Social. Robert Mueller just died. Good, he says. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. I read that, and once again my jaw dropped to the floor. I know politics is a blood sport. I say it all the time. But what I've also found about Trump is it's always all about him. He's always the beautiful loser, the perpetual victim, the martyr, who self-martyrs himself, a man of immense privilege, a man who has surrounded himself with gold, and gaudy decorations in the White House. He has defaced the place with such decadence. And even as he sits there as the most powerful man in the world, he's still the victim. On this night, when one of his political opponents, one of his major political opponents, has passed away. Unbelievable. I'm not the only one shocked. You might not like Robert Mueller. You don't have to. But honestly, this is so incredibly distasteful. Look at the reaction online here. Eric Daughtry. President Trump celebrates the death of former special counsel Robert Mueller, who investigated him in the Trump-Russia hoax. Wow! All caps. Even Daughtry. All caps. Wow. People are afraid to say what they're really thinking. But even for him, that's pretty much a pro-Trump X account. And he says, wow.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here.
A long time ago clip of Mueller.
2 years ago, the acting attorney general asked me to serve as special counsel, and he created the special counsel's office. The appointment order directed the office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. Good morning, everyone, and thank you.
Scroll down. Tim Pool, Lord have mercy. He says Trump really did post this. Mueller has died and he was not a good man, but wow, Trump is brutal. Really American posts Trump's former lawyer, Ty Cobb, just unloaded on his ex-boss after Trump celebrated the death of Robert Mueller. Quote, he is a demented narcissist, rules the country in a very authoritarian manner with the assistance of a cowardly cabinet.
And how do you rectify the fact that, we're seeing
Trump's
this
former
kind
lawyer.
of response from the president, someone you worked for? And what does it say about where we are as a country when families at their most vulnerable state? Here it is on your screen. Basically, the president saying it's good that Robert Mueller died.
So that's the type of person that President Trump is. He's a demented narcissist, seriously hates anybody who stands in opposition to him, has reworked the Justice Department into a revenge machine, and, rules the country in a very authoritarian manner with the assistance of a cowardly cabinet and even more cowardly Republicans in Congress. And that's tragedy. That's something we're all having to deal with. But I think, rather than focusing on, the despicable response of a demented president, that we should really focus on the hero that we lost today and ideally gain some inspiration and some strength that we can bring out on No King's Day when we stand up again for our country.
Ty Cobb, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We are.
Nick Sorter breaking. Former President Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who investigated President Trump over the Russia collusion hoax, has died, per MS Now. He was 81 years old. Last year, Bob was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee to testify, but ignored it. That's all he said. Wow. An old clip from Charlie Kirk. Harry Sisson, I expect every Republican who is outraged at people for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death to immediately condemn Trump for saying, I'm glad he's dead. About Robert Mueller, this is disgusting. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. Doreen Linder, Robert Mueller, former FBI director who looked into Russia hoax and said he saw no involvement from Trump, which is partly true, dead at age 81 after a battle with Parkinson's disease. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Gandalf posts, Robert Mueller is dead, and the President of the United States has announced that he is, quote, glad. Now I want you to sit with something for a moment, he says. Jeffrey Epstein, the man who ran an international child sex trafficking operation for the entertainment of the ultra-wealthy, looked at Donald Trump and wrote the following words to former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers in 2017. I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. End quote. The man who ran the pervert expressed Crime Island looked at Trump and thought, that bloke is worse than me. And today, that same Donald Trump looked at the death of a decorated Vietnam veteran and former FBI director and typed, good, I'm glad he's dead. End quote. Then signed his name to it. Then posted it publicly at 1:26 in the afternoon. There are war criminals who've managed more dignity at a press conference. I could go on. There it is. See, I've been saying for a while that Trump gives people license to act, to behave badly. It's having an impact on our society, certainly in the United States. I think in communities that are sort of conservative, or it's not the right word, they're not conservatives, MAGA around the world. There's something gone wrong. Mueller was the ex-FBI director. He transformed the law enforcement agency in the United States into a terrorism fighting force after the September 11th attacks in 2001. Later became special counsel, as we all know, in charge of investigating possible ties between Russia and Donald Trump's presidential campaign. His family posted a statement overnight saying, with deep sadness, we are sharing the news that Bob passed away. While he was at the FBI, Mueller set about almost immediately overhauling the Bureau's mission, transforming it to meet the demands, the new emerging demands of that law enforcement faced in the 21st century. He began his 12-year stint with the FBI just before the 9/11 attacks. And when he was, after he finished, or after the investigation into the possible Russian collusion was concluded, and he presented the findings, I said that day when I was watching that he wasn't healthy. His mind was not all there. You could tell that he was scattered. At that point, I said, I don't understand why they have him even doing this investigation, because I didn't feel that mentally that he was sharp at all. He was off. And at times when I was listening to him, the statement just seemed almost incoherent. I said, he's sick. I mean, like suffering from a medical problem that was affecting his mind. And now, of course, all this time later, we now know that he had been suffering from Parkinson's, and Robert Mueller passing away, and Trump making it all about him and doing what he's done tonight. No grace, no class. And I suppose you could say, well, Robert Mueller was a bad person and Trump was completely innocent, although a lot of questions about Trump linger even now, about his loyalties, his past activities, inside Russia, and he definitely has ties to Russia. I have to admit, I was largely duped, especially in the beginning, because to me it just seemed so outrageous that someone like Donald Trump, who had been in the media, so well known, such a successful business person, American, someone who had cast himself as a very patriotic American, that anyone like that could possibly get as far as he had gotten, all the way to the White House. And then, could he possibly be doing things that might actually be undermining the best interests of the United States? Could he possibly have any ties to Russia that might compromise him in some way? Could there be any truth to it? And I have to admit, I just dismissed it because I thought it was so absurd. But if you read the Mueller investigation, read the report, while no charges were laid, ultimately there were no long-term consequences from the investigation against Trump. There's some meat on the bones there that you might want to take a closer look at. A lot of things about Trump's actions make one scratch their head if you care to look. And it's right in front of our faces tonight. Just look at what is going on in Iran. This is just the latest thing. So the United States continuing to conduct this military operation against Iran with Israel. Strait of Hormuz, still a problem. Iran basically closing it off, choking it off. Not entirely, but pretty close. Controlling the navigation through there for sure at this point. So the bombing continues. And what has Trump done in the last couple of days? He has lifted sanctions for the next 30 days on Iranian oil. Does that not make you scratch your head? Because that gives Iran money to fund their war back against the United States and Israel. So you're at war, but then you're trying to put enough pressure on the regime, if you want to call it that, whatever, to surrender. And then he's like applying as much pressure as he can, putting mostly American lives at risk, and going it alone because nobody really wants to get involved if they can help it. And what does he do? Because of the crisis that he has created by going to war, I mean, it's not entirely his fault, right? I mean, it's the Iranians choking off the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, fine, but they wouldn't be doing it had he not started dropping bombs on Iran, which he did because he said that he had to do that before Iran attacked Israel. And that, oh man, and no proof of anything given. And he hasn't stopped the nuclear program, even though he obliterated the nuclear program. It goes around and around in circles. Doesn't have any legal justification in terms of international or even U.S. law at this point. And then he lifts the sanctions on Iran? It doesn't make any sense. It's the stupidest thing ever. It makes no sense. And I understand that the reasoning is, well, gas prices are rising because oil prices are rising, so we need to let the Iranian oil that's floating around out there get to market, so it increases the world supply, at least for the short term, so it eases pricing pressure on oil and gasoline ultimately. But Iran itself doesn't supply the world with that much oil. I think it's like 5%, 3%. It's not that much, especially right now. And so it benefits Iran more than it would benefit even the United States. And in fact, the United States is in some ways benefiting, at least the oil companies, the U.S. oil companies are benefiting because of the the inflated prices of oil. It just defies logic unless you start to look at it through a different lens and the structuring of this new world order and the spheres of influence and where the new alliances are being laid down and drawn. And if you can't follow it, if you don't quite understand, it's because you haven't, you know, maybe you're one of the new viewers here. You're getting information here. You're not getting this from most other live streamers, podcasts, political analysts, although they're catching up. I don't know if you've noticed, I was talking about the spheres of dominance and influence carving the world up. I was talking about that like a long time ago, like a year ago. And it's only been within the last 2 or 3 months that other influencers and political analysts have started to speak about things in those terms in that way. They're catching up. If you're a regular viewer here, you were in the loop first. Not blowing my own horn or anything. It doesn't come from me. This is just me observing, reading, looking at what's been going on in the different countries, connecting the dots and saying, look, this is what they're doing. It's obvious. Well, it's reinforced by what Trump has also said just in the last couple of days. He was interviewed in a phone interview. Let's see if I can find it here for you. This is, what is this? Stephanie Ruhle? Who says that she interviewed Trump in this phone interview, and he says that Vladimir Putin he trusts Vladimir Putin more than Volodymyr Zelensky. Right here, Stephanie Ruhle. I've got the comments from her. And this also makes no sense to me, him saying things like this, honestly, because clearly Russia's not a U.S. ally. Maybe a MAGA ally, but not a Trump ally. One moment. I've got the comments coming up. Here we go. And Putin just came out, I think it was yesterday, and said that, see, Trump also basically just brushed off the comments or the intelligence that says that Russia has been providing targeting information to Iran to target U.S. forces. And Trump kind of let that roll off and wasn't bothered by it at all. And then I think it was yesterday, Putin came out and said that they would stop sharing targeting information with Iran on U.S. forces if basically Ukraine gives up and the United States stops supporting them. Something to that effect anyway, which ain't going to happen. But here's what Ruhle had to say.
News MS Now's Stephanie Ruhle just wrapped up a 15-minute phone call with President Trump. Stephanie joining us now by the phone. Stephanie, I know Trump already called NATO cowards this morning. What else did he tell you?
He did. You know, ironically, I wanted to get on the phone with you earlier, but I'm at the airport and it took me quite a long time to get through TSA. The president and I had about a 15-minute phone call. We started, of course, talking about Iran. He said that Iran was 2 weeks away from having a nuclear bomb and they would use it. Now, of course, most experts say it was at least a year away. He said that we could leave the war right now. We could walk away tomorrow, because we have just decimated most of the country and their power. But he said the regime would rebuild. It would take them about 10 years, but that's not an acceptable situation, which is why he thinks we should stay. He said the major thing is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. We obliterated it. We totally obliterated it. So that's very good that we're there. We talked all about our European NATO allies, and he continued to crush them. He said absolutely none of our allies in NATO have helped with support as it relates to the war. He said we don't need their help, but they've proven themselves to be a paper tiger. He also posted that on Truth Social, i.e., without the United States, NATO is nothing. And he said before he came to office, the United States, and you've heard this from him before, paid 100%. Now NATO allies are paying more, but they've done nothing. I asked about Ukraine helping and Ukraine supporting, and he said they've done nothing. Anything Zelensky has said as far as what Ukraine has done to help us, he's just doing for political and PR purposes. They've done nothing. He says Zelensky is very difficult to deal with. He says Zelensky is more difficult to deal with than Putin is. And he said Putin has also shown that he's not afraid of Europe at this point or our European allies. He says I would clearly say that he expressed more trust in Putin than he does any of our European allies. We talked about the Texas primary. He said originally they wanted to run against Jasmine Crockett, but Tallarico can be easily defeated, whether it's Ken Paxton or John Cornyn. He referred to Tallarico as a whack job. I asked him about our next steps as it relates to Cuba. He was sort of vague, but he said, just you watched, and he promised sort of changes, but he did not give any details. I asked him about what the White House is spending on. I asked if the ballroom was much bigger than they planned. Did it need to be that big? And he said, of course, it's under budget and ahead of schedule. But he said they plan to have future inaugurations in that ballroom since it's going to be drone-proof and bulletproof. I asked him about those comments he made about Gavin Newsom and dyslexia. I gave him the opportunity to sort of take those comments back, saying someone with dyslexia, with those learning disabilities, shouldn't be in the White House. He didn't take the comments back. He continued to go after Gavin Newsom, and then, talk quite a bit more about how unfairly he's being treated by the media.
And I know, Steph, you've talked about how hurtful those comments have been. Did you tell him that you're stymied at the airport and ask him about the DHS shutdown?
Of course. I did. And he, blamed Democrats. He said they're the ones standing in the way of funding this. Blame that if you don't like your long line at the airport, look no further than Democrats. And that's not a surprise that he would say that.
Quite a wide-ranging conversation that you had there on the phone, and I'm glad we got you on FaceTime and it wasn't just your voice. We get to see your face, too. Steph Rule, hope you get through the airport lines quickly.
And this is what I was talking about. Wall Street Journal catching up on this. Russia offered to stop helping Iran target U.S. troops in exchange for relief in Ukraine. So basically, U.S. withdraws aid to Ukraine, and they'll stop targeting U.S. troops, and Trump lets all of this kind of roll off his back. His response, just eliminate sanctions on Iranian oil for 30 days, and he's also lifted sanctions against Russian oil, sanctions that were put in place in an attempt, we were told, to apply pressure in order to try to bring some sort of resolution to the Russia-Ukraine war. Wow. Regardless of where you stand on what your position is on the wars, it's Trump's job to protect the American troops and to do everything he can to support them. This doesn't look like he's fully supporting the troops. This looks careless, reckless. It looks like a plan being made on the fly to me. And again, the perpetual victim, just constantly complaining about every damn thing. He's always the victim. What a suck. The guy is a suck. Oh, the media is so unfair to me. That comes with the territory. You're the president of the United States. People are going to criticize you. Suck it up. I'm tired of hearing about it. They're so mean. They're nasty. Brother. Yeah, he fights battles when he's got the People's Army to fight his battles for him. What a suck. Whine, wah.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Over in Ukraine, what we've seen is, well, actually we've seen Russian drone strikes hit civilians in various areas in Ukraine today, killing at least 2 people in southeastern Zaporizhia region. Officials say a married couple died when a drone struck their home. 2 children, one 11, the other 15, were among the injured. At least 6 people were wounded overall. Fires breaking out in nearby properties. The same wave of attacks damaged energy infrastructure, leaving most of Ukraine's northern Chernihiv region without power. Hundreds of thousands of residents now in the dark. In retaliation, Ukraine forces struck Russia's border region of Belgorod. The local governor says 4 civilians were killed in an attack on a village public building, with rescue operations continuing. On the diplomatic front, Ukraine is pushing to restart U.S.-mediated peace talks that were paused amid the conflict in Iran. President Zelensky has sent negotiators to Washington as both sides seek a way forward. Back on the battlefield, grinding fighting continues with no major breakthroughs reported overnight. Russian forces are preparing for possible intensified operations in the spring, while Ukrainian units have recorded some localized successes in recent weeks. This war is now in its 5th year, continues to take a heavy civilian toll on both sides of the border. Also, we are seeing Ukraine launching, well, it really has been 300 drones at Russia, one of its largest attacks of the war. This attack happening overnight. Again, one of the largest barrages since the start of, it's like a 4-year-old war. We're, going to get into the 5th year. 4 years right now. I said 5. The drones struck an oil depot in the southwest part of Russia that processes nearly 5 million tons of oil annually. Ukraine's armed forces said in a statement. The Defense Forces of Ukraine, in their statement, they said the Defense Forces of Ukraine will hit important enemy facilities until the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine is completely stopped. And it was a large drone attack overnight from Russia too, but 150 drones in total involved in that. So we continue to follow that story as well. The conflict in Iran continuing to escalate. A lot of talk about the U.S., Trump possibly putting boots on the ground in there. In fact, tonight, CBS News is reporting that they have sources who are telling them, I don't like stories without named sources, but in this case we will show you they claim to have multiple sources, and there's enough credibility here that I think it's worth highlighting. Here's their post. Trump is strategizing, means to seize Iran's nuclear stockpiles sources say. Now, it could just be a trial balloon. Sometimes this stuff is leaked to the media to see what the public response is going to be. They are not naming names, but they do have multiple sources inside the administration. It says here the Trump administration has been strategizing methods and options to secure or extract Iran's nuclear materials, according to multiple people briefed on the discussions. As the U.S.-Israel-led military campaign against Tehran enters a more uncertain phase. Yeah, that's because Plan A didn't work, and now they're trying to come up with a Plan B. The timing of any such operation, it says here, if President Trump were to order it, remained unclear Friday night. Now, Saturday, one source said he has made no decision yet, but planning has centered on the possible deployment of forces from the secretive Joint Special Operations Command, the elite military unit often tasked with the most sensitive counterproliferation missions. Two of the sources told CBS News. So this is a CBS report.
Service members have died. And President Trump said again today that the Iranian military, Navy, and government has been obliterated. He added that the U.S. has been trying to contact leadership, but there's, quote, nobody to talk to.
Their leaders are all gone. The next set of leaders are all gone. And the next set of leaders are mostly gone. And now nobody wants to be a leader over there anymore. We're having a hard time. We want to talk to them, and there's nobody to talk to. We have nobody to talk to. And you know what? We like it that way.
Now, the comments come as the Iranian government released a second statement today attributed to Iran's new supreme leader, who has not been seen in public since being named Ayatollah last month. It is believed he was injured in the strike that killed his father at the beginning of the conflict. And for more on this, let's bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang.
He was
Weijia, good
dead
to have you on.
today, but I don't think that's true at all.
The White House and President Trump say there are no plans to send troops into Iran. But as we mentioned, we're hearing otherwise. So break it down for us. What's going on?
Well, just yesterday, President Trump was explicitly asked whether he planned to put boots on the ground, and he said he did not. But he also added, if I did, I certainly wouldn't be telling you. And, you know, I think that after hearing so much from this president and the White House, what is clear is that they are not taking any options off the table, and that includes the potential for troops. That certainly he is not going to signal exactly what he is doing before he has made that decision. But our new CBS News reporting is that the Pentagon has detailed plans at the ready that they have presented to the president because he has to weigh his options. So they can't do this preparation when he says he wants to go. Obviously, they have to do it ahead of time. And we know that, you know, those talks, those discussions, those plans are in place in the case that the president decides otherwise. But as of now, Tom, there are no plans, at least publicly, to be escalating it in that way.
Yeah, well, we just, you know.
Well, he's not going to say anything. And they, because they like the element of surprise, right? And more inappropriate comments earlier this week when the Prime Minister of Japan was in the Oval Office and he made those statements about, or that statement about Pearl Harbor, and again condemned by many for what he said. A lot of WOW posts on social media as a result of that. Again, it just doesn't seem to end, does it? Wow. Wow.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, we're back. In other news, which seems to be every news story seems to circle back and reconnect to this stuff. Okay, where are we going to go next here? Well, I guess what I should do is I want to comment tonight, there's going to be a little bit of editorializing here about Pierre Poilievre's appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. I have not seen the entire interview. I started to watch some of it, and I lost interest in it because it was, for me, Poilievre repeating a lot of talking points. Also, it was, to me, a fabricated, packaged Poilievre, which we've seen in various versions. They've given him a makeover at one point. You know, remember, he used to wear the glasses all the time. Then they made him a little more casual looking. They've given him makeovers, and not just physical or fashion makeovers, but also in the rhetoric, in what he says. They keep repackaging him. I've said many times, you don't really quite know what you're going to get with him. I can't really pin him down. I'm not really sure what he stands for, truthfully. When I heard what the comments I did hear the other day from him on Joe Rogan, I was pretty much aligned with, and it sounded like the kind of conservatism that I believe in, personally. You may not. You might be there. You might be one way or the other on it. But for me, it was like he was coming back into the lane that I'm in on a lot of issues, including things like immigration. The way he was talking, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But when I was listening, it was like, there's stuff he's not telling us. Medical assistance and dying. That was a subject that came up during the broadcast. I've talked about it. I've stated clearly that I don't like the program the way it's set up right now. I think it is too lenient. It allows it's too easy for people to find a doctor. You can even go doctor shopping in order to find the 2 doctors you need to get approval for medical assistance in dying. If you get two doctors who say no, you can go shopping for another 2 doctors and another 2 doctors. You can go countrywide until you find doctors who will sign off. So I'm not in favor of it, the way it's set up right now. However, I did state this the other night too, in the interview that we did with Brandon, the issue came up. And this isn't directed at Brandon at all. It's just that I was not given enough time, it was my interview, but there wasn't enough time to even get into any of the details on why I was saying what I was saying at the time. Anyway, the point is, details matter, accuracy matters, context matters. If you're going to tell the truth, you have to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Otherwise, you don't get truth. Sometimes. So this issue came up in the podcast between Rogan and Poilievre, an interview that has scored Pierre Poilievre a lot of political points. Here in Canada, I think he's won some people over. I said myself that it was classy what he did when he went down there, because when asked about the Prime Minister, he would not disparage. This was when he was in New York. I don't think it was quite on the podcast, but during his live speech that he gave in New York City, same day, he was asked about the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, Liberal, and he wouldn't, on foreign soil, disparage him, he said. And I was like, yeah, that's the way you do it, right there. And this isn't so much, it's not that I want to be too harsh on Pierre Paul. Well, I don't know, maybe I should be. I'm going to play this clip from the Rogan podcast. And on the surface, it seems fine. And, the criticism, A lot of people would say, yeah, that's right on, Joe. That's exactly where I'm at, right? But there's more to this. Let me play the clip and I'll explain. Get it up on the screen here for you. I've had a personal experience within my family with MAID, so I have to, for full transparency, this is one of the reasons I have my opinions on it, because I know exactly how it works, and I'm pretty upset about it. So I don't like it. But accuracy and details are important.
Amazing place. It's a great country.
Talking about Canada.
And to see it go the way it's been going and sliding the way it's been happening over the last, X amount of years. There's just so many things that concern me. One of the things that really concerns me is this assisted suicide thing. That 1 in 20 deaths in Canada is now assisted suicide. That's insane.
Well, listen, my view is that people should have the choice, but the concern we have is the suggestion that it would be offered to kids or offered to people whose only condition is mental illness.
Right.
I don't agree with that.
My concern as well. I mean, if someone's got a terminal, like a good friend of mine went to Oregon to end his life because he had ALS.
Okay.
But I mean, he was gone. I mean, he could barely talk at the end of his life. His name is Michael Lair. He was a regular guest on Kill Tony. Great guy.
Right.
And it was horrible. I mean, watching him fade away, and he wanted to go out on his own terms. So he went to Oregon for assisted suicide. I mean, there's a place for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was a kid recently in Canada, and he did it for seasonal depression. I'm sure you're aware of that case.
I am.
Like, who allowed that to happen? Who didn't counsel this young guy? Who didn't give him a hug? Who didn't tell him about diet and exercise and changing your surroundings, your lifestyle, and just do something to give you some hope and happiness? It's like seasonal depression, really? You're going to end your life, this beautiful life on this planet, for seasonal depression? That's crazy.
That's why we have to do more to give people hope when they're suffering with mental illness.
Yes.
Give people the sense that they can take back control of their lives. I think we do have to promote fitness more because it gives people, it turns them into a subject that controls their surroundings rather than an object being controlled. It teaches people that hardship is temporary and that the aftermath is positive. And we have to reinstill people with a sense of meaning when they're going through hardship, rather than to say that it's all over. And I think we have to. Our system.
Okay. Look, the program has flaws. There are things that you can criticize about it, and justifiably so. But as I said the other night, I find it disgusting when people take a subject like this and use it and twist the information to score political points, when they politicize it like this. You don't know what I'm talking about? I just listened to the guy who has apparently the world's biggest podcast online. The largest audience in the world, apparently. And I guess this is why he has such a large audience and I don't. But what I just heard there was not quite accurate. What do you mean, Rick? What they've just done there is they have left people with the impression, largely Americans, who, by the way, new polling has shown that Americans, a growing number of Americans, don't like Canadians anymore. Most of them on the conservative or MAGA side. I could bring those polls up. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow night. That's another story in itself, but it's related to this. Why? Because these two just left a largely American audience of probably millions and millions and millions of people, and a lot of Canadians too, with the impression that in Canada, 1 in 20 people, the government kills 1 in 20 people through the medical assistance in dying program. They make it sound like it's all horrific. It does sound awful. And Rogan then goes on to say that the government killed a kid through MAID just because he was depressed in the winter. Seasonal affective disorder. That's SAD, which is you get depressed because there's not enough sunlight in the winter. And that's the only reason. And then he says to Polyev, are you familiar with that story? Polyev says yes. And then just continues to talk about it and says, that's why we need more support for mental illness. And all that you have to do is exercise more and feel better about yourself. And then this solves the problem, but people should have choice. That's basically the story that I just heard on that podcast. And that's a bunch of bunk. That's not accurate. Because just like the other night with my good friend, nothing against him, but he threw out a raw number. The reason he did that, total number of deaths because of MAID, is because that's the number that was fed to him through multiple media platforms. And so that's the information he had, and it sounds awful. I think he was saying like 76,000 people killed through MAID. It sounds terrible, right? But then Rogan says that a friend of his went to Oregon to find medical assistance in dying because he was suffering from ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. You lose all control of your whole body. You get trapped in your own body. It's a horrific disease. And he says, well, there's a place for it. But then craps all over Canada. Again, says he won't even come to the country anymore because of what's happened to the country, because it's slid so far away. And I think that Joe Rogan probably believes what he's saying, but I think he's just not fully informed and is continuing to spread a narrative that doesn't really give us the full context and the full picture, which means that we're going to end up in a bad place when we finally, as a society, as a country, put pressure on the government to make changes to a program that affects a lot of people and is controversial. But whatever we do, we should be doing it fully informed. And that's not fully informing people, because the truth of the matter is, I think about 1 in 20 people at this point. That's probably not an inaccurate statistic, but the vast majority, in the 90 percentile, I'd have to look up the numbers to be sure, but at this point, but I have looked them up before, the vast majority of people who are listed as being, as cause of death as medical assistance in dying are actually people in hospice, people who are at the end of life, people who are on their deathbeds, suffering, no chance of recovery, and they use this program to end the suffering and to go it on their own terms. Just as Joe Rogan said, there's a place for it. And that's where the vast majority of people who go through the program are at. And that's why the number is so high. Because had those people not been offered that assistance in dying, they would have suffered and died anyway, very shortly thereafter. That's the vast majority. Now, not everybody. And some of these things that they're saying you shouldn't be offering it to children, and you shouldn't be offering it to these people, and shouldn't be offering it to those people. Yeah, a lot of those things are proposals. They're they're things that could be coming. The government is looking at those things, but they're not enacted yet. Some of them are there now, and yes, it is too easy. And I know from my personal experience that yes, people can go doctor shopping. And yes, I think that there are people out there who don't really need to go through the program, but that's me. And I honestly wish I had dealt with it better. It's a personal thing with me. So I have to be transparent about that. I get emotional about it. And I am probably I'm the last person. Well, maybe not the last person. I never thought I'd be sitting here trying, like, in some way defending the MAID program, because I'm not an advocate for it the way that it is right now. But I am for truth. That's not accurate. That makes Canada, just makes our country look like a Nazi state. And Polyev knows. See, the reality is that that wasn't a kid. That was a 26-year-old man that Joe Rogan is referring to. Not a kid, an adult. A 26-year-old man who had lived with type 1 diabetes his entire life, had lost his vision in one eye, was going blind in the other, had a whole bunch of different medical issues, and had lived with them for his entire life, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And yes, turned down, denied medical assistance in dying, I believe, multiple times in Ontario, went to British Columbia, finally found 2 doctors who did approve medical assistance in dying for him, but not a kid. So it's not like the government killed a child. And it wasn't just because he suffered from seasonal affective disorder. It wasn't just because he was depressed in the winter. And would have been okay if he just made it to spring, and then he could have lived his full life. And it wasn't a situation where, as Polyev kind of conflated information and said, well, you know what, he could just go out and exercise more, get his vision back, and recuperate from his type 1 diabetes lifelong. Do you know the kind of complications you can have from diabetes? And I don't think we're being given all the information, but it sounds pretty bad anyway. Bad enough that this guy wanted to end it. And who am I to judge? It's his life, his death, and it's his family that is upset. That's where the story came from, because there were people in his family that were opposed to this, upset by it. They weren't informed beforehand. They were not fully informed, but they're not his parents. At least not like the family, the parents, not his guardians, right? They don't have any rights in what he does as an adult, because it's not a kid. Now, you could maybe say, oh, Joe Rogan was just saying that it was a kid because he was just using the term loosely, and just a young man, 26 years old, that's not a kid. And while the family objected and went to the media to complain about it afterward, which I totally understand, and that's their right too, and that can be a very healthy thing. And yeah, maybe it does deserve to be. I think it probably does warrant review, but be accurate about it. Don't turn it into something it isn't. Both of those guys, Rogan and Polyev, did you a disservice. Did us all a disservice. Rogan, maybe out of his ignorance, maybe because he wants clickbait, maybe he just wants, to build the audience. I don't know. The whole thing was an infomercial, to be quite honest with you, because Rogan is on that side of the political aisle, and he props up politicians who are on that team. And he's pro-MAGA. So be it. He endorses politicians. He endorsed Trump. I've seen reports saying that he endorsed Polyev. But it's just not accurate. I've said many times, you don't need to lie when the truth is bad enough. It's gross. Because Canada's not a Nazi state. Yeah, it's a controversial issue. Medical assistance in dying. Euthanasia. When hasn't it been? It's been with us like forever. It's not just Canada, it's every country. It's even in the United States. Rogan talks about somebody going to Oregon to do it. It's always going to be with us as an issue. Canada's wrestling with it right now. I think it goes too far. I think we need to address that, but we need to address it with proper information. Polyev knew. He said he was familiar with the story. Did he push back on it? No. He did not. Not at all. He let it go. Why? Why didn't he say, well, Joe, that's not quite accurate? He could have. He could have said, yeah, you know, that young man, not a kid, Joe, that's an adult. Nevertheless, the family maybe should be entitled to some sort of, you know, they should maybe be informed, but in this case they weren't. But it's not a child. Maybe he could have said, and, you know, there were other complicating factors that we have to consider in these kinds of things. And yes, people should have choice, but, you know, he could have told the story, but he didn't. He let it slide. Why? Because he's a politician. Because Joe Rogan just threw it out there. It was easy. And it was more damaging the way the story was told. Did a lot more damage. Made Mark Carney and the liberals, those nasty, terrible, awful liberals, those evil, fascist, commie liberals, look even more sinister and terrible mass murderers. Really? 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 Made the liberals, but you know what? You know what? Really? Okay, fine. You want to play nasty politics? That's one thing, but that didn't just damage the liberals. That damaged Canada. Even though they're like, oh, I love the Canadian people, Joe Rogan says. I love the Canadian people, but I won't go to your country anymore. It slid too far. Yeah, well, you know, when you portray us as a Nazi, fascist, commie, authoritarian, murderous state where we allow the government to murder children, when you spin it up that way, it tarnishes every Canadian. And it's gross. And Polyev didn't do a thing. He used it. So as much as I said he was a class act for not disparaging the Prime Minister, which in itself may have been disingenuous, because he's a politician and he's self-serving, I may have complimented him on that. So that gives me even more permission, more justification for criticizing him on this. But hey, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity. The Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed protect, built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn easy bed, spin your world around. Storage make it simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea, an exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
It is the age of social media. It's all about that, and that's what I said the other night too about Polyev going on Rogan. It's like, it doesn't matter what he said on the program even. The big thing was he got on Joe Rogan. I mean, it's like it's the current version, I guess, of the Ed Sullivan Show, right? Or when Bill Clinton was on late night TV playing a saxophone. Makes you cool, makes you hip, makes you relevant. And that key demographic that you're all trying to reach, it's all about the show. The image you're trying to create. And that's what I keep saying about Polyev too. You don't know what you're going to get with the guy. I'm not the only one. Maybe not articulating it in quite the same way, but this guy over here just highlighting that exact same idea. Wiretap saying Pierre Poilievre is a post-nationalist fraud. Weeks ago, he stood in front of business elites and painted himself and the CPC as fierce Canadian nationalists. Then on the Joe Rogan podcast, he regurgitated Justin Trudeau's post-nationalist rhetoric.
The path to sovereignty is focusing relentlessly on what is within our power. Canada itself was born from this insight. Ours is a country not built by accident. Confederation was a conscious act of national self-determination. Conservatives are the party of Sir John A. Macdonald, the party of Confederation, the party of Canada. Macdonald and the founders did not build this country by reacting emotionally to every external disturbance. They did not define Canada by grievance or anxiety. They defined it by strengthening what lay within their control.
We're a very welcoming country. We're a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws.
The path to sovereignty is focusing relentlessly on what is within our power.
Make of it what you will. Make of it what you will. It's, like I say, the age of the internet, right? And brings me back to bad behavior, the impact that it's having on us as a society. Choices we make, alliances we forge. I watched this movie on the hypocrisy, because that's on full display too. Here's just to highlight this in the age of social media, and I'm going to come back again to talking about that, but Turning Point USA, social media. Matt Tucciaroni, I don't know who this is. He says, I used to work for TPUSA. TPUSA faith exists to equip Christians to live out biblical truth, fight cultural degeneracy, and be salt and light. But at AmFest 2024's after party, hosted by James O'Keefe, the Make America Rave Again blowout, this is what went down. A half-naked woman in a giant wine glass full of water, grinding sexually, splashing the crowd while booze flows everywhere. And she wraps our American flag around her like a cape, straight up flag code disrespect and total cultural compromise. This is the party of the decade our youth are funneled into. Where is the biblical modesty, the respect for sacred symbols, the consistency on fighting degeneracy? Former insider here, this doesn't align with what TPUSA preaches. Video is real, unedited from the event I was at. Judge for yourself. Okay, let's do that. No audio with it. Kind of like that big party that Trump threw at Mar-a-Lago. Young people will be young people, right? Boys will be boys, girls will be girls. I suppose so. It's the age of the internet, age of social media, and there's a whole bunch of new lingo out there. We highlighted some of that talk, like mogging and face maxing and maxing this and maxing that. Clavicular seems to be the star of the moment. But he has kind of a whole troupe of fellow live streamers and influencers, and Kick seems to be the platform they're on mostly these days. A reflection, I think, of the times. Maybe as influencers, they're not just influenced by the times and the medium, but influencing others, young people. And a lot of, I say most of this stuff, especially at the top end, not organic, not just happening on its own. They're being promoted by the social media giants, by the tech bros, the technocrats. This is a guy who's sort of in the same sphere as Clavicular. This is Jasper Phipps. Seems to be a formula here, and the look is what it is. The chiseled jaw, it's kind of like the rugged white male manosphere model, and with the hot blonde girlfriend.
Oh, it makes me sad you're not going to use me for my birthday.
Just came across this in my feed. I've never heard of this guy.
Damn, Chaz, we can get to 900. I've never hit 900. I've never hit 800. Do I do look maxing? I mean,
24 minutes. No, he's just handsome like that naturally.
Sort of now, but make him a blowjob girl.
But
You'll never be 22 again. Thanks, bro. I'll make 23 better. Every year is better. Very blessed. They said you're a cutie pie.
Thanks, guys.
Run it up, chat. You guys are the motherfucking goats.
Nuts all over you. That's what I'm talking about, catified.
Thanks for follow M3N. Y'all are the goats. Cringe? Yeah, cringe. Suck my dick, bitch. You're in my chat. Everybody else in here, you guys are dope as fuck. But that guy, I'm not gonna lie.
MDMA. Y'all are tripping bad.
Dude, I
God
wish.
forbid we have some gum. We're tipsy.
I just had a drink and Xanax. That's prescribed by my doctor.
We're close, guys. Where can I follow Jalen? You can follow Jasper and I'll be here.
She has no motherfucking social, son. Leave this abdomen, 22. Where's she from? South Carolina.
I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, like 18 years.
It's all about the bling, eh? It's all about he's flashing his high-dollar watch now.
Valid.
Could be better. What do you got there?
Oh yeah, it's the LARP watch.
Can you cue the song next? Good.
Go smack a bitch.
You can smack me, just do like.
My system, my first.
But thanks for the follow, Sandman.
Welcome to 2026. I bring this up because of what Trump said. It's I don't know which is influencing which, or if it's symbiotic. I think it's symbiotic. Bad behavior. When the president of the United States can say things like he said tonight about Robert Mueller, I guess what I'm seeing there in this decadence and debauchery online on Kick with these young influencers. I mean, he's got the platform, he's got the followers, and he's not huge, this young guy. Like 6,000 followers or something, but he's going around. This is what they do. Their life is in the internet, and she's clinging to him because I guess he must be the vehicle that she's going to use to get famous or whatever, and he's part of the whole network with this clavicular guy at the top, and they've got all this lingo, manosphere, dog, and obviously I'm old, right? So maybe I'm just at that stage in life where it's like I remember when I was a kid or when I was younger, and people would. I interviewed. Do you remember Mitch Miller? Maybe you don't remember Mitch Miller. Mitch Miller. Here, I'll show you. Musician. This is how old I am. Sing along with Mitch. Oh, so long ago, man. Here's his Wikipedia page. I interviewed him. I did. Mitch Miller. Mitch Miller was an American choral conductor. He hated modern music. Record industry executive and professional oboist. He was involved in almost all aspects of the industry, particularly as a conductor and artists and repertoire man, A&R. Miller was one of the most influential people in American popular music during the 1950s and early 1960s, both as the head of A&R at Columbia Records and as a best-selling recording artist with an NBC television series, Sing Along with Mitch. There you go. A graduate of the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester in the early 1930s, Miller began his musical career as a player of the oboe and English horn, making numerous highly regarded classical and popular recordings. He was famous. Like, really, he was famous. He defined the Columbia style through the early 1960s, singing and producing many important pop standards. Artists for Columbia, including Johnny Ray, Percy Faith, Ray Conniff, Jimmy Boyd, Johnny Mathis, Tony Bennett, and Guy Mitchell, whose pseudonym was based on Miller's first name. After arriving at Columbia, Miller enticed Frankie Lane to join the label after his early success at Mercury. Anyway, you can go look up more about Sing Along with Mitch. I did interview him at one point. He came to Windsor, Ontario to perform at the theater there, and I got the opportunity to interview Mitch Miller before his concert. Had him on the 6 o'clock news that night. And he hated modern music, said it was garbage. And I laughed about it at the time, but now, in reflection, maybe it's because I'm just no longer relevant. Maybe it's because I can't relate to these young people, but what I'm watching there just looks like a lot of very bad behavior. And I think it's damaging. Maybe I'm just an old stick in the mud. Maybe I'm just a little too traditional. And yet I've always thought of myself as being, pretty tolerant of people. Believe a lot in freedom, and they're free to do what they want to do. I just find it, again, here's the word, distasteful, kind of icky. Last night I was watching this movie, Influenza. It was released in, I believe, 2024. I'll show you the IMDb page on this. And it's relevant. Influenza. See, it's a play on the word influencer, and it's influenza, like it's a virus. I didn't get through the movie. it was in itself pretty gross. It starts off, I got through about the first half hour, and it's about these influencers, social media influencers that go to this conference, I'll call it that, with coaching, so that they can learn how to become, famous online and boost their channels. And basically, at the beginning, they're all learning that the way to do it is to be sensational, no holds barred, porn. Just do whatever you have to do. Just sell yourself out. Don't have any moral standards. And just shock people, shock value. And I'm seeing it all the time. And I am competing against that here every night. And I confess, I'm trying to find the formula sometimes myself with the thumbnails and the descriptions and our programs. And it's influencing even this channel. It's influencing me. I'm suffering from a degree of influenza. I'm guilty of it because I'm trying to find the right words to hit the right algorithm, tone, or whatever, to make sure that the videos that we produce every day rank and get out to our audience. And I need you guys to like and share and do all of those social media things that help these things be found by the search engines and to get some sort of favor with the social media platform algorithms. But I couldn't finish watching the movie. I found it, again, here's the word, distasteful. Maybe a little too honest. So I'm not sure how it ends up. I'm not sure how it ends, but the first part of the movie was all about that. Again, a reflection of our times. This was from 2 years ago. Now tonight, what Trump's doing, I'm seeing this stuff online with clavicular and the language. It's funny. It is actually hilarious, some of this stuff. In fact, do I have it here, this clip? I think it's over here. Maybe we have it, maybe we don't. It's probably here. Here it is here. These are kick clips. This is actually Saturday Night Live cut, and I believe this is clavicular. This is coming full circle again, commenting on an SNL spoof of him. Because it is absurd.
Because I'm absolutely frame mugging you into oblivion right now, dude. Check it. Frame mug. I'm sorry. Wait, what is frame mugging? Dude, are you like
That's hilarious, dude.
100, bro? It means my.
Dude,
I don't know if this is meant to be more me.
Yeah.
Dude, am I getting SNL max? Like.
Fans, but you're sitting there jester gooning like a subhuman beta cuck. Meanwhile, I'm out here aura maxing like an S tier Giga Chad. Speaking English much.
Dude, fucking millennials are such fucking retards because they have no culture of their own, really. They have no culture. Millennials are so fucking gay.
Yeah. Yes, I actually do speak English, and that's not it.
I guess we all thought our parents were kind of out of it too, right? When we were younger. Oh. Yeah. So my friend from afar sent me something overnight, which I will share with you related to this. Food for thought at the end here. About how today we're, more connected than ever before, and yet never more lonely as a result of all of this. It's sad. And this is a little piece of truth.
Wait, so you're telling me in the future people just stare at a little box all day, inside and outside?
There's more. I didn't play the whole thing, but I want to stop looking at the car wreck. But Donald Trump keeps throwing it right back in my face every night, and I don't know how to look away. And he's not the only one. I just don't know how to look away. Well, I do sometimes. Sometimes I just turn it off and walk outside and touch a tree. Keep saying that. I was going to play something to cap the night off, but I'm going to pivot over here, and this one again for my friend from afar and for Maureen, because I think this is her favorite. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a bright, warm, summery-like day, like it was just the other day here. I mean, it had to be 65, 70 degrees Fahrenheit here. A little colder today, but spring is on the way. The sun is out there. Just all I got to do, I guess, is stop looking at the car wreck and let the sun shine in. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Sunshine, baby, shine it now.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.